There's nothing like a hot, steaming cup of Joe when you're trying to edit those last 10,000 words. And what better way to share the stress than to meet up with some of your writer friends at the local coffee shop? This week, we examine the writer in one of their native habitats. What role do these fine establishments play in the writing process? What is it about the atmosphere that lends itself to writing and to collaboration? Is the sense of camaraderie real, or just caffeine-induced? Our panelists will discuss their experiences getting together to make words with friends. And we have a special treat this week, as Joe Compton brings us indie film connection for entertainment you may like if you're a fan of Paranormal Activity. In our epilogue, the panelists will have to guess what movie character I am in a game of 20 questions. Do you like your coffee black or some kind of embellishment? It's time for another wild episode of This Week in Indies with your host, SM Hillman. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another This Week in Indies. I'm your host, SM Hillman. That's me. Let me try that again. Today we're talking about coffee shops as places of writing, both as a place of solace or solitude, but primarily as a place where you can go and collaborate with, or at least cohabitate with, friends, colleagues, sometimes strangers. But before we get too deep into that discussion, Goni now would like to thank multiversecon.org or MultiverseCon for hosting us and collaborating with us last week. If you didn't see last week's live episode from Multiverse, I highly recommend you go ahead and do that. It was a good time, and just give us a like and subscribe there and here and everywhere Goni now is across the multiverse. So before we get too deep into our discussion, let's go ahead and introduce our panelists one at a time. Renee, we'll start with you.
Good morning, or afternoon, I guess, on the East Coast. My name is Renee Jean. I also write under Mackenzie Knight, and I write mostly thrillers, suspense, and a little bit of humor.
Cool. Awesome. Sarah?
Hi, I'm Sarah, writing under SG Tosh. I write mostly contemporary fantasy mystery and a little bit of romance, as well as some paranormal dark comedy. Perfect.
Kate?
My name is Kate Rissy, and I've written one novel. It's a sort of cli-fi adventure story, and aside from that, I teach at a university.
Perfect. I bet you drink a lot of coffee at the university.
I have a cappuccino machine at home, and I have very special coffee, and I'm really particular about that. So I bring my own.
Awesome. Wayne?
That would be me. Hi, I'm Wayne Trammell. I write under Wayne Trammell because my ego doesn't permit writing under pseudonyms. I'm in Las Vegas, as is Renee and Sarah. And I write historical fiction, and I also write urban fantasy, and now I'm going back to historical fiction like that.
Perfect. We should have had the Vegas people all go to a coffee shop now that I think about it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Allison?
Hi, I'm Allison McBain, and I actually write in pretty much all genres. I'm also a ghostwriter in addition to being an editor. My latest book was historical fiction, but I am currently writing romance this week.
Fantastic. Awesome. Thank you all for being here with us. We really do appreciate it. Do you, and I think this is probably the best way to start it, do you have a favorite? So we're using the term coffee shop, but for others, there might be some difference. It might be a tea house. It might be an oxygen bar, if people remember oxygen bars. I don't even know if they're still a thing. But let's go ahead and start with Sarah. Do you have a favorite coffee house that you go to write?
I used to. There was a place back in my hometown called the Depot Coffee House, which I actually worked at when I was in high school. And I very classic. Like if you think of the 90s coffee shops, kind of with the mismatched furniture and the, sort of homey atmosphere. I used to write there, but I've actually been looking for a place here in Vegas since I moved, which was 5 years ago, though COVID kind of messed up my searching a little bit. But I've tried a number of places, and I've found places that I like, but I haven't found like a regular spot yet.
Are any of the places that you found, do you think would be good for having a group of people there? Or just good for like a single writer?
Yeah, I mean, definitely you could have a group of people there. A couple of my places, they haven't been coffee shops. My two like favorites are the Springs Preserve coffee shop, like restaurant, which is basically a big cafeteria. So that would be good. And then the other one is Wayne and Renee will know what I'm talking about. Outside of T-Mobile, in the like what do they call that? The park, but not the casino. The like outside area where there's like a bunch of tables and stuff and trees. It's very much like a sort of a main street, even though it's right next to a casino, New York. I've written there a few times, and that's really, really fun. You can people watch, and that's. But you have to be able to write in like a noisy atmosphere. It's not quiet, obviously.
Gotcha. Renee, what about you?
I used to have a coffee bean and tea leaf that I went to, and then they remodeled and took my comfy chair away. So, like Sarah, I'm kind of still looking for a home. There are places that I go, and I will actually have to check out that one by T-Mobile because that sounds like my perfect kind of place.
Mm-hmm.
But there's ones, I guess, on my side of town, Samba Latte and a few others that they're definitely good for solitary writing, even though you can get a lot of people there. But I always find a way to like sneak off into a corner where I can just observe while I write.
Do you have a favorite seat in the corner?
Up on the second floor.
Second floor, okay.
It's right all the way at the edge, and so you can see the rest of upstairs and you can look downstairs.
Awesome. Yeah. For you role players out there, we used to, when everybody's playing Cyberpunk, they always try to find the corner so that nobody can get the jump on them. So that's what when I go to a new coffee shop, I always try to get the corner as well, mostly for that purpose.
Yeah, the people watching is fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Kate?
I do have a favorite coffee shop right across the street from me. It's independently owned. It's not part of a chain. I love to go there. The coffee that's actually where I get my coffee. I get my coffee from this coffee house. It's small. I go to the corner, and sometimes I work outside. It's 50 degrees right now in Boston, but in the late spring and summer and early fall, you can sit outside. That being said, I actually really like writing in coffee shops. So anytime I go to a new town, I try to look for a non-chain, independently owned coffee shop, and I'll just go in and go to the corner.
So what is it about the non-chain? I mean, there are a lot of reasons people don't go to a chain restaurant, or a chain coffee shop. But what is it about the independence that you really like?
Oh, it's like physically much more comfortable. It doesn't feel like linoleum and glass, and I don't know. It always just has sort of comfy mismatched seats. I get nervous when everything looks all the same because it feels like you're in an emergency room or something.
Right. Gotcha. Okay. Wayne, what's your favorite?
The thing about coffee shops is that I have a hard time writing in coffee shops, but I do a lot of planning and that kind of stuff, making notes and outlining and doing that kind of stuff in a coffee shop. Although it makes me sad for the day when real men wrote in bars. I can't imagine Hemingway saying, write caffeinated, edit on decaf, right? But here we are, nonetheless. There are some, I don't know if they're specifically independent, but they're certainly local chains that have lots of room, and depending if you want to be in a comfy seat or you want to sit with I'm old school with my notebook and my pen. I need a good solid surface to write on. But yeah, there's a couple of places. The problem, of course, is that those small independent places tend to turn over periodically. One of them has been sold twice in a very short period of time.
Right. But it's still coffee shop in all its iterations.
Oh yeah. They're still a coffee shop.
Good.
But the problem is running a coffee shop, right? You've got 3 hours where you're crazy busy in the morning. You've got a lunch rush, and then I walk in at 2:00 and ask for a cup of black coffee, and it's the one thing they don't have because it's been sitting there since noon, and they always have to put on a fresh pot for me. So I'm happier to see them than they are to see me, I suspect.
Gotcha. Allison?
So I'm not in Vegas, and actually not in the U.S. either. I'm in Canada, in Alberta, actually near Edmonton. So I actually have a couple favorite coffee shops, and it's for different reasons. One is called Remedy Cafe, and it's off White Avenue, which, if you know the city, is sort of like the bustling area where there's a lot of like great restaurants, a lot of arts, theater, that kind of thing. So it has a lot of energy when you go there, and I find it inspiring. I also have attended a writing group there where basically we all get together and we write together for like an hour or two. So it's been great to meet other writers there, which is fantastic because I moved to the city a couple years ago. And then the second one is actually a place where some writers I know read poetry. It's called the Carrot Cafe, and it's a very indie coffee shop, but they're very encouraging of writers and poets and musicians, and so they're very involved in the creative community. So I love going there and supporting, as everyone else has said, supporting my local indie coffee shop too.
You don't actually consort with the poets, do you?
I do. I am a poet also. I write all genres. So yeah.
It's Canada. We're
So-
much friendlier up there, Sean.
It is. We're all friendly up here.
So, do you do other people, other creatives, are they interested in what you're doing? Is there a lot of, hey, what are you writing, or hey, why are you here, or does everybody kind of keep to themselves?
For the writing group, yeah, we talk about it a bit beforehand and say, oh yeah, okay, I'm working on this book and I'm going to try to see if, in the hour I'm here, I can work on this chapter, maybe finish the chapter. And then afterwards, people are encouraged because we have like a set time, like, okay, we're writing for an hour and a half. And then at the end, we can talk. But then we sit together. And this is one thing that I love about Remedy Cafe. They actually have 2 rooms in the back that just have long, narrow tables. You can put your laptop on, they have plugs. So it's specifically for people on their laptops, which is great. And it's in the back, so you're not, getting distracted by people coming in and ordering coffee. So they're very, again, writer friendly.
Awesome. So I want to get back to something a couple of you hit on, the people watching. Allison, let's start with you. Especially, you have the one location where there are other indie folks plying their trades as well. Is it inspiring? Is going to the coffee shop something that helps you with your writing?
It can definitely. Like if I'm actually working on an active project, then I basically go to the coffee shop and shut everything else out, and I could be like in an empty room. But when I'm like idea planning, when I like am looking for ideas, I love people watching. I love to sit by the window, I generally don't drink coffee, I drink chai. I drink my chai and see what inspires me. Like, there could be like a couple walking down the street and I'm like, oh, what's their story? I want to know their story and maybe tell it, So like, I love the people watching.
Gotcha. Awesome. Wayne?
Yeah, I mean, like I say, I have a hard time bringing my laptop, hooking it up, pretending. When I write, I like my desk and I like my space. But when I'm creating, which is a little bit different, coffee shops and those kind of places are great because the characters are all around you. And I have stolen the souls of a few people in coffee shops to appear elsewhere. The character of Casper Pack in the last Johnny Lycan book, Johnny Lycan and the Last Witchfinder, Casper is walking the streets of Las Vegas. He just doesn't know it.
Fantastic. Do you have, I'm curious, do you have a specific kind of notebook that you bring, or you just buy whatever's handy and
I am so old and grumpy, and I hate me because everybody does all this cool stuff. Man, old school binder, 3-ring lined paper, spiral bound, $7 for a 3-pack. I work through these like crazy, and I usually have one per project. So, I'll plunk down at the bar, at a table, and just kick back. And I don't like put in earbuds or do any of that. Like if I'm going out in public, I'm going out in public, and I'm a serial eavesdropper. So for me, what really gets me is the dialogue. Hearing people talk and hearing snatches or lines and going, oh my, okay.
Yeah, because it's real. It's much more realistic, right? I mean, not that we don't write realistic dialogue, but it's that real people talking to other real people that can be very, very help you get actual dialogue written.
Absolutely.
All right, Kate.
I find editing the manuscripts is the best thing for me to do when I go into a coffee shop, rather than like the creative process. Although that being said, I have had the same writing group for 35 years. Sometimes we get together in person, like not that often, but every single morning at 6:00, our fearless leader logs on to a Zoom call. That's every day. And we can log on with her. It's a silent thing. You don't talk to anybody, but you see your comrades there, which is really, really motivating. And so that I can do in a coffee shop.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, has there ever been other individuals in the shop that you found very either fascinating or like, oh, I'm going to put you in one of my books, or put you in a book or a story?
No.
Okay. Not that many interesting people going to the shops where Kate is. Well, you can probably go there. Well, editing is a lot different than creative in any case. If you're editing, you've already got your characters, sort of knowing, you already know who your characters are to most extent.
Yeah, for sure.
Renee?
Actually, most of my characters come from my job, especially if they annoy me, since I write murder, mystery, thriller, and suspense. So I may have killed a few bosses on different days, but I work in the casino, so I'm always surrounded by a tremendous amount of people. When it comes to the coffee shops, I'm kind of the opposite of Wayne. I do the creative stuff kind of in my head when I'm doing chores at home, and then when I go to the coffee shop, I like the chaos. I like people coming in and out and going all around me. And I do put my headphones on just like everybody else that's ignoring society. And I listen to my playlist, and I know that I've hit that sweet spot when I can write surrounded by people and I'm still just fully engaged in the story. So I like being surrounded by the madness and yet somehow still in my own little alternate realm.
Has there been an individual that you noted who made it into one of your stories?
I've never put any of the people from the coffee shops in the stories, but I've definitely talked to some of the people that work there, because they'll come over and check, especially when I used to go to Coffee Bean. I would show up at 6:00 in the morning and I would be kicked out when they closed. And so they would actually get so used to me that they would just like bring an apple and a bagel and another mocha over for me every so many hours to make sure I was still eating. And they would check on me, which was nice.
That's pretty good. That when I know that one of the shops, although it's closed, I went to a few years ago. They were always very interested in what I was writing. The fact that I was a writer, because apparently not many writers have come into this one, even though it was attached to a Barnes and Noble. So it was they were always very fascinated by what I was doing.
Yeah, I've definitely had people ask, or I've met up with other writers, and we all sit and kind of sit at our own little tables, and then in order to stretch and not, become parts of the chairs ourselves, just get up and kind of meet at a collaborative joint table in the middle now and then to kind of, talk about anything we were working on or what we're planning next.
Gotcha. Sir?
I've never, or at least not in recent memory, have I done like a group writing thing at a coffee shop. Typically, I go out somewhere when I'm stuck. I'll have been writing for a while, and I write at home, usually right here in my office. But when I start feeling kind of the walls closing in, or like I need some fresh perspective, fresh ideas, that's usually when I'll go out, and I will. And I, depending on my mood, maybe I'll listen to music, maybe I won't. Usually I won't, because I'm trying to connect with something outside myself for a little bit of like fresh air, both literally and figuratively. And yeah, I'll just bring a notebook and kind of free write. That's typically my process most often when I'm writing outside of the house.
Sarah,
I'm curious.
the research on creativity, if you read Flow, Csikszentmihalyi's Flow, just the physical act of changing your location when you're doing the same task actually has amazing neurological things, which is the beauty of it, right? It is when I'm focused, and I shut everything out anyway, so I may as well be at my desk pounding away. But when I'm in that information gathering, dot connecting state, being out among other human beings, which is not my natural state, works wonders.
Yeah. Yep. Very similar for me too.
I'm curious, Sarah, Wayne, as the folks who mentioned that you do writing by hand, have you ever ruined some of your notes by dropping coffee or tea or spilling anything on it?
Not. I mean, I've definitely ruined notes. Most recently, I did have like. It was actually it wasn't notes for a book. It was a list of events that Renee gave me not that long ago, for me to look at in doing. They were in my bag, and my water bottle like spilled while I was on a plane, and they got ruined. But not that I can remember. I'm usually pretty careful with my notes.
Wayne, what about you? You ever ruined some of your notebook with some coffee or?
No, I usually ruin my notebook with what I write in it. What happens with me is the writing is just a way of getting the energy to flow. Like, I can write pages of notes and never look at them again, but I know exactly what I'm going to do. So I have spilled stuff on my notebook, but I was probably never going to look at that page again, so it doesn't really matter. It's interesting about coffee shops, because Sarah and Renee and I belong to a group that actually do author appearances in bookshops all over town, and coffee shops all over town. So half the time we are in the coffee shop writing and being creative, and the other half we're at the coffee shop going, look at us, look at us.
Awesome. That's pretty cool. We say AF Stewart. Hello, AF. Thank you for watching today. Thanks everyone who is watching us today. We appreciate it for sure. Remember to like and subscribe, or if you're listening to this later, like and subscribe. Or if you're listening to this earlier, which is possible in the future, I guess, like and subscribe in the future for us. Thank you so much. So I'm going to talk a little bit about when we get together with groups. Is there, I'm not going to throw this out to anybody, when you're working with groups, is it, do you do a lot of writing, or do you find yourself being more of like a someone who's answering questions, sort of like you're helping other people write as opposed to writing yourself?
I think I'm probably the distraction in the group. I'm more of a social butterfly, and as soon as you put me around other people, I start just talking and having fun, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, that's right, we were supposed to be writing. And so I get off track a lot, and I'm probably the reason other people don't get as much writing done.
I've never written with Renee, but knowing your personality, I could definitely see that being the case.
You haven't written with me, but you have signed with me at the coffee shops.
Yes,
and
exactly.
We talk to everyone else too.
Yep. Yeah. Like I said, it's been a long time. I'm just going to go since others are talking. It's been a long time since I've written with another group of writers. I have written with a friend who was like, she's in school for accounting. So she was studying and I was writing. And in that case, it worked out pretty well. We just kind of like focused on our own thing. So I would say I stay pretty focused. If I'm going to go through like the effort of like RSVPing yes to something, getting dressed, leaving my house, like I'm probably going to make sure that whatever I'm trying to do at that thing is what I come home having done, because that's who I am.
Right.
Yeah, so I tend to stay pretty focused.
Is it harder to focus if someone in the group is say chatty or not focused? We're not naming names.
That's okay. I'll name me.
I mean, sure, because I wanna talk to people too. So it probably would be a situation with like, if it was Renee, it would be like, okay, we'd probably talk, and then at some point I would probably say like, okay, I need to focus. And Renee is, such a sweet person that I know that she'd be like, okay, and I would be able to focus. If it was someone I didn't know that kept talking, that's more awkward. I might have to just be like, I'm gonna go get a cup of coffee and then just sit somewhere else and not come back.
Right. Gotcha. Wayne, Allison, Kate, what about you? What about any of you writing with groups? Are you a writer or are you a facilitator? That's the word I was looking for.
Most of the group stuff I've done has been critiquing,
Yeah,
and offering feedback and like that, and that's great. That works well. The creativity in the group thing, when you get that bad combination of extroversion and caffeine,
mm-hmm.
You're kind of setting some people up to just be magpies and annoy everybody.
You're welcome.
See, I approach it a different way, I guess. So I belong to and I also run a zillion writers groups, and each of them have a different purpose, I guess. So there are some groups that I belong or run that are conversational groups. So you can talk about writing, talk about what you're working on, bring up any problems you have. So they're specifically meant for conversation. And then other ones are just, okay, we're getting together, we're writing, everyone shut up now. There's actually a group called, it's online and also in person, and it's around the world. It's called Shut Up and Write. And basically it's exactly what it sounds like. So you're literally muted if you're on Zoom, or you go in and the group organizer says, okay, the time is starting now, no one is talking, and enforces it, So it depends on what group I'm going to. Some are helpful for different reasons, as Wayne was saying.
Gotcha. Kate, any thoughts on writing groups?
Yeah, I work in a department and I share an office with a couple of people. So I think we've all learned tactics to just be like very clear and efficient. Maybe it's body language or something that just says like, not right now. So I'm pretty good at just, I guess just saying, I can't talk. And the other thing I just wanted to say about that writing group that I go away with sometimes, our mornings, like from 6 till noon, are silent. So even though we're at the coffee and we're getting the coffee and we're eating our breakfast, it's like 100% silent. It sounds like it's a really like a not, the most fun situation, but I'll tell you, you get a lot done.
I bet you do, because everyone is sort of like following the same paradigm, right? They're all focused, not necessarily on the same story, but they're all doing the same activity together, right?
Yeah, and then we have a great cocktail hour. Let me tell you, at 4:00,
The dam bursts and everybody just explodes.
Oh yeah, big time.
So yeah, cocktail hour will be different this week in Indies. So we have Jenna saying hello.
Hi, Jenna.
Thank you so much for watching, everybody. So let's go ahead and take a quick break in the conversation. Hold on. There we go. I'm still terrible at this producing thing, folks. Just bear with me. All right, so now it's time for our real treat, where Joe is going to give us an indie film connection today, taking a little break from CL Cannon's Indie Connection. Indie Film Connection if you are a fan of Paranormal Activity.
Hi everybody, Joe Compton here. Welcome to the Indie Film Connection. And today I have independent films that you might enjoy if you were a fan of Paranormal Activity. The first indie film I have for you is called Be My Cat, a film for Anne, by filmmaker Adrian Tofay. An aspiring Romanian filmmaker and actor obsessed with Hollywood actress Anne Hathaway tries to convince her to come to Romania and star alongside him in his upcoming film. He goes to shocking extremes, using 3 local actresses to shoot demo scenes to send Anne as proof of his filmmaking and acting skills. Adrian explains that the film he is making is not, in reality, Be My Cat, but rather that Be My Cat is a film he has written for Anne to play the lead role. He states that his interest in Anne and making this film came from her portrayal of Catwoman in The Dark Knight Rises, citing a love for cats. The next film I have for you is called The Subject, by filmmaker Lanny Zipoy. A white documentarian ravenous for authentic stories makes a black teenager from Harlem the subject of his film project. For months he follows the slick-tongued, baby-faced young man with an easy smile, capturing his interactions with his family, friends, and neighbors, pestering him with questions and eventually relaxing him into a routine. This white filmmaker, his name Philip Waterhouse, is no saint, but he thinks of himself as a good person. That is, until he watches his subject, Malcolm Barnes, die right in front of his eyes. Phil does not save Malcolm, but the question of whether he could have done so drives his mindset. The hazy and ethical, dubious rules of documentary filmmaker clear Phil of any technical wrongdoing, or so he repeatedly insists. But the guilt threatens the beleaguered documentarian like dark clouds before a storm, and he's unable to enjoy the critical and commercial success of the film about Malcolm or the rewards that follow. A new house and a deal with HBO to create a series. Strangers write lengthy blog posts accusing him of exploitation, and Malcolm's family and community are left with a hole they are unable to fill. The next indie film I have for you is called Man Bites Dog, a film by Remy Bival. Ben is a witty and charismatic but narcissistic and easily enraged serial killer who holds forth at length about whatever comes to mind, be it the craft of murder, or the failings of architecture, or his own poetry, or classical music, which he plays with his girlfriend Valerie. A film crew joins him on his sadistic adventures, recording them for a fly-on-the-wall documentary. Ben takes them to meet his family and friends while boasting of murdering many people at random and dumping their bodies in canals and quarries. The camera crew becomes more and more involved in the murders, starting out as a silent accomplice but gradually assisting Ben in his killings. Not everything works out perfectly, but will there be consequences for Ben and the camera crew's actions, or will the reign of terror become the stuff of legend? And the final indie film I have for you is celebrating its 6-year anniversary since its release this week. It is Butterfly Kisses by my friend Eric Christopher Myers. In May of 2015, struggling wedding video photographer and film school dropout Gavin York takes an interest in the box of tapes that are found in a basement of his in-laws' newly purchased home. Despite the boxes labeled Don't Watch, Gavin becomes intrigued and decides to make a chronological edit of these tapes. He discovers that the tapes each contain parts of a documentary from March 2004 by film students Sophia and Feldman, who are trying to prove the existence of a local urban legend, Peeping Tom. The legend states that the person can summon Peeping Tom by staring down the Linchester Tunnel at midnight for 1 hour straight without blinking. Once Tom is summoned, though, he gets closer to the victim each time they blink until he kills them. Aspiring to finally break into a legitimate filmmaking career, Gavin hires a documentary film crew to chronicle his discovery of these tapes and the research to prove Peeping Tom's existence. While going through the footage, Gavin's team, headed by filmmaker Eric Christopher Myers, grows skeptical of Gavin's claims, and many begin to suspect that Gavin made the footage himself. The team also discovers that the original filmmakers had previously won an award for a documentary where they used an actor to portray a real person, which continues to cast doubt on this discovered footage. That does it for us here at the Indie Film Connection. Thank you for joining us, and remember that it's always time to go indie now, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.
All right, that was fun. Do something a little bit different this week. Later in the year, we may also do some other indie things that are not books. But you have to stay tuned for This Week in Indies to do that. Okay, I think some people have already talked about it, but just very quickly, what's your go-to drink at the coffee shop?
Mocha, for sure.
It depends on my mood.
Pure magical black bean juice. Dark coffee, the way God intended.
Good, sir.
Okay. It depends on my mood, but it's either between chai or I'll do like a latte. Or no, it's black coffee with an extra shot of espresso in it. And then like I add milk and sugar too.
Gotcha. Allison, you had mentioned you drink chai. Is that all you drink at the shop, or?
Generally, so chai is sort of like my writing drink. I don't know if you guys have the same, like, I might drink tea at home, like different tea at home or coffee or something. But then chai is the sort of smell and the taste that sets me into the mood for writing. So like for me, yeah, chai is my go-to drink when I go to a coffee shop.
Gotcha. Kate?
If it's before noon, I do a hot, strong cappuccino with oat milk. And in the afternoon, I do a jasmine tea with honey.
Gotcha. Is there ever at some point you go off script? Anyone goes off script with something different? Like if the coffee shop has something new, or you really just kind of stick to what you drink?
I will say something to that. My friend did a reading the other day at this like vegan, gluten-free coffee shop. And my $7.89 regular cup of coffee was made with a homemade pumpkin syrup. I'd always wanted to try, like people make jokes about the pumpkin drink around Halloween, but this was like a homemade pumpkin thing. And then they put whipped cream on top. So it was coffee with whipped cream and real pumpkin syrup. Thumbs up.
That's good, huh?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Motivating.
That's great. Awesome.
My problem is I mock people who do those drinks. I'll have a Vente Loca chocolate whipped cream soybean milk frappe, and I spend so much time mocking them that by the time I get to the counter, just to save the poor kid's sanity, I say black coffee, and they actually have to ask me twice if I want anything in it. And I'm like, no, black coffee, and you're welcome.
Yep. Yeah, I used to work in a coffee shop when I was in high school. Like I said, I worked in a couple. I worked in the independent one, and then for like a couple of months, I worked at a Caribou Coffee. If anyone's from the Midwest, it's like
I
Starbucks.
love Caribou coffee.
Yeah, it's really good. I worked there in a mall in a little like kiosk in the rotunda, and it was a nightmare, and I don't recommend it. And after that, like I just can't bring myself to order crazy stuff. Like it's not that big of a deal to me either. My tastes don't run that specific. So sometimes I will, if I'm in a new place, like an independent place, I will look at their specialty drinks, or I'll ask like what's really good, what do people like here, and I'll try something new.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah, I'm boring. I stick with my drink, and if they don't have chai, I am completely stumped about what to order.
Renee, what about you? Do you ever go off script?
I can just do regular coffee and like Sarah, I'll add, my cream and sugar and stuff like that. But no, I mean, I'm definitely a chocoholic. So if you can pour as much chocolate in as necessary, and I'm that nerd that just in case they don't have mocha or they are out of mocha syrup or something, I have Hershey Kisses. I'll just
I see. I like that.
I'll make it work.
I need to come to Vegas to write because that sounds amazing to put that in the coffee. So I know for myself, years and years ago, I went to a place that had orange syrup, which fake orange. Obviously, we're not talking actual orange. But everywhere I go, I will ask them, "Oh, do you have orange syrup?" And I've only really found it like one or two places. But that's kind of my, if they have orange syrup, I will go off script. I'm like, oh, okay, let's grab this drink here and this here, and I put some orange and raspberry in it. A couple shots of those.
I can explain the two 7-Elevens by my house have orange syrup. It's the only two places I've ever seen it, but both of the 7-Elevens on either side of my house have caramel vanilla and orange.
I do not recommend writing in a 7-Eleven.
No, but I can definitely.
Although here in Vegas they have slot machines, so there are actually separate areas in the 7-Eleven that you can sit. So I guess theoretically you could.
Just put your notebook up.
No, I always.
Exactly.
I'm a caffeine addict, so I will stop at 7-Eleven to get my coffee on the way to the coffee shop, and then every
Well, yeah, you gotta prep, right? Like anything with writing, you gotta prepare for the thing that you're doing, even if it's the same thing you're doing.
I can make a bottle of wine last 6 months, but I pregame on coffee for sure.
Nice. All right, we have some interactions from our audience. Tales by Bob. As if Bob didn't have enough for a watch list, that's for the from the Indie Connection. Yep, now you've got more movies to watch. Deborah saying hello. Hello, Deborah. Good to see you. Go Indie now. Ask a question you really want to ash on. Is there pumpkin spice people? No, I mean it's fine. I think for me, I don't really drink much of the whole. I love Halloween. I don't drink many Halloween drinks. It's when Christmas comes around with all the various mint drinks. That's when I really kind of go crazy. Tales by Bob is pretending to be a writer because he's never had coffee. Or chai. I actually, Bob, do you drink tea? I don't know if I asked you that question. It drives Joe a little crazy as well. Deborah is not a coffee drinker. Tea, chai, hot cocoa, or hot apple cider. Those are all great ones as well. I know someone who always gets hot chocolate when they go to, and Bob has had chai. Awesome.
As one does in the middle of Alabama.
Yes, right. And Deborah's questioning the never. Mm-hmm. All right. So I have one. So we always try to bring this back to new writers watching this who might question or might have questions about going someplace to write. Do anyone just throw out, have advice for picking a place that's good for writing? Obviously, everyone's different and they have, some like the chaos and some do not. But do you have just general advice for a new writer for that experience?
Well, for me, basically, as a new writer, sometimes it's hard to actually write. So you might be at home, you might get distracted. Your cat's there, your dog wants to go for a walk. So that's one of the beautiful things about going to a coffee shop. You're there, there are distractions, but not the same kind, not the same comfortableness. So it puts you in that zone where you're like, okay, well, I have my laptop, I have my notebook, I can sit here for 2 hours and stare at the wall, or I can actually write. So in some ways, as Wayne was saying earlier, a change can open up your creative pathways. It can be very helpful. So try different areas. Like, it might not be a coffee shop, it might be a library. Libraries are great. It might be even your favorite diner down the street. So try different places and see what feels comfortable to you, where you can actually like lose yourself in your story. And that can actually help get the juices flowing, especially as a new writer and especially just starting out. Sometimes it's hard to sit down and put words on the page. So it can be very helpful to change locations.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think sometimes Wayne talks about, if he's going to be sitting and doing it, he may as well be sitting at his desk. For me, that's the distraction. Being at home, I can, I can go play with my cats, or I can. Sorry, Stephen King. Me and my TV have a relationship, and I have so many shows on DVR ready to go, and I've got the chores, and let me just go run this errand, or pick this up, or vacuum this room. If I go out to the coffee shop, I'm going to the office. That's my version of, I pack up all my stuff and I go and I'm there to do a job. And so I focus and I do it. And I think that's kind of why I like the chaos is I know I'm there when I don't even notice the chaos. But I go to the office when I go to the coffee shop.
Because it's not your chaos, right? It's other people's chaos, which is different than chaos at home.
I cause chaos, but when I get to block out other people's chaos, and then as soon as I close the laptop, I become the chaos fairy myself.
I really agree with what Renee and Allison have said. Oh, sorry. I really agree with what Renee and Allison have said. One thing I would suggest is, I know that in the coffee shop that I go to and some of the other ones I visited, like there's definitely a rush hour. And I sometimes tend to avoid that. So like I'll go in at 9 and then I'll leave at 11 because by 11:30, like there's a lot of traffic and it's just very distracting. People are ordering sandwiches. And so I kind of like that. There is a downtime in some of those cafes that are quieter.
Gotcha.
I think it depends on if you're the kind of person who, and I have no idea why the smoke detectors decided to go off. If they find my body, you know what happened. I think if you're the kind of person who can fly cross country on an airplane and never have a conversation with the person next to you, that's very different than if you're the type of person that everybody wants to talk to, right? Because why are you there? If you're there to interact with people and keep the endorphins buzzing and all that good stuff, that's one thing. I'm one of those people, I just have resting jerk face. And so people tend not to approach me. But I have friends who the minute they open their computer and start to do something, people are like, oh, come on, take your earbuds out and talk to me. What are you doing? What are you writing? I can sit for hours and have no human being interact with me other than, you want a refill?
Awesome.
Well, I know people's deep dark secrets. They just walk up and tell me.
I get that sometimes too.
I attract some crazy.
See,
Yes, you do.
Renee is one of those people, when you ask how you are, she tells you. And we aren't all built that way.
Right. Absolutely.
It was just a polite question. It was not a request for information, damn it.
Sarah, what about you? Advice for the new writer?
Yeah. So I would say if you want to find a place but you don't know where to go, or you're like nervous about being in the way, which is, don't be nervous about that, but I get that sometimes. Another thing I did in high school, I was in theater tech, and Perkins was always our, place, again, in the Midwest. But like a Denny's or an IHOP or something, you can't really go wrong there. You can, they're so big that you can kind of hide in a corner. And if you go, again, as Kate was saying, like not during a rush time, like if you go at 1 or 2 in the afternoon, they're not going to be as busy. And you can just kind of sit. I would also say another reason that I usually will bring a notebook as opposed to a computer is no internet, which means no social media, which means no distractions. So those are the 2 things I would say is, if you don't know where to go, a big chain restaurant, dinery type place is your friend, and remove the internet as a potential for having an excuse to not get work done.
Awesome. Excellent. All right. Thank you all so much for this. We're about to, let's do some more audience interaction. They've been very talkative. Bob says tea is meant to be sweet and on ice. I totally disagree.
That is so wrong.
Unsweet.
I agree.
I do not understand the sweet tea at all.
Genesis is Caribou coffee. Yep, same.
I know. It's better than Starbucks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. For sure. Deborah Deborah was a day traveler channel, raised Mormon, and early on decided my vice of choice was going to be booze. Okay, no, understood. That is also, Bob. That is also our vice of choice.
Well, if you're going to go to hell, Diet Coke seems like a poor choice.
That's true. I totally agree with that.
It's a waste, yeah.
Deborah likes the library. It's quiet, research available, helpful librarians, right? Surrounded by books and words. I do bookstores a lot for similar reasons. Although a bookstore where the people are too helpful is just as annoying as people coming up to talk to you. Joe letting Wayne know that his takes are on fire. I was thinking the same thing. Wayne, your takes are on fire, so the smoke detector was.
Well, apparently so's my house. So.
Okay. That's a great question from Deborah. At a coffee house, are you tempted to add a cookie or muffin, or in my case, blueberry scone? You'll think about it. If I don't add something, then that's a distraction, right? Yeah, no, I get that. So I will typically put the scone or whatever up here, and I'll just take a bite every now and then between 500 words or so. What about everybody else? You guys have something you eat or don't eat while you're at the...
Butter croissants or some kind of croissant. I'll usually get that if they have it.
Nice.
I'm body built by sugar, so I live on brownies.
Brownies, yeah.
There's a reason that I walk 500,000 steps a month to keep from being obese from all of my sugar.
There's a reason every Johnny Lycan book contains a reference to apple fritters.
Oh, I love apple fritters. They're great. But I'm with you, Renee. I am body built by sugar. So anything sweet is fantastic. But I use it as a reward sometimes. So I'll be like, okay, if I can get 1,000 words in, 2,000 words in, then I'm going to go get a pastry to go with my next cup of chai. So
awesome.
Ooh, Pavlovian writing.
Exactly.
Hit your word count. We ring the bell.
All right. It is time for our epilogue. Yay. Everybody cheer. Yay. Yay. So, we're refining this as we go. So it's definitely 20 questions, yes or no. If it's a good question, I might let it slip and slide. But yeah, 20 questions, yes or no. Today is someone who is a movie and a literary character. So they've been in the book and in the movie. Book first. I'll give you that one. So we're going to start with Sarah, and each of you will get a question. I need to keep track of how many questions on a piece of paper. Here we go. Sarah, you get your question first.
You said these are yes or no only. Yeah.
Yes. Mhm.
Okay, that wasn't my question. Are you a man?
As in human or as in male?
Male. Are you a male? Was not supposed to be a gotcha question.
That would, boy.
Thought it was
Yeah.
safe.
Yes. I'll say yes.
Yes. You'll say yes. Okay.
Yes. Renee?
I feel like that sort of answers my question anyway, but are you paranormal?
Are you?
Paranormal. Are you non-human?
Nope. Yeah, not paranormal. No. Kate?
Are you a unicorn?
No. Although good question. Wayne?
Are you set in the future?
No. So if I that probably helps right there. Allison, go ahead.
Is there magic in the character's world?
No.
No magic. Okay.
All right. So anybody can ask a question.
Would this be considered a science fiction
No.
world?
I learned my lesson from last week, or last time we did it.
Is the character the protagonist of the book or film?
No. Nope.
Is this in the horror genre?
No.
Is the person human?
No. But also not paranormal, as that's before. So, but not human.
Are they an animal?
Yes.
Okay.
Are they attached to a human? Is there some direct connection to a human?
You mean like a sidekick?
Yeah, like in the Golden Compass books, the Daemons.
No. Not a connection like that. No.
Okay.
Do they travel a lot in the book?
Yes.
Is it a dragon?
No.
Can they speak English?
No. Or if they can, it never comes up. But I don't. No. We'll just say no.
You know, it's times like this that I realize how incredibly limited my reading actually is.
How many
Is it a
questions?
I'm sorry.
Is it a dog?
It is not a dog.
How many questions are we at?
You have 15 questions. You have 5 left.
Is the animal a domesticated animal?
Well, great question. No, it is not.
Okay, so a wild animal.
Can the animal swim?
Yes, it can.
Is this animal like, how do I say this? Come back to me.
3 questions left.
Oh
Does
man.
the animal say Ma loves Pa?
No.
I had the same thought, Kate. I was going to ask that exact same question. Actually, Bob raises an interesting point in the chat. Is this animal character evil?
No, Bob, it is not the alligator from Lake Placid, but very good. Is the animal evil?
Would we consider him evil?
Would we? No, we would not. We would not consider it.
Oh, we would not. Okay.
We would not, but then we are the reader and observer.
Would you call this animal giant?
It's big. Yep. So I'll
Okay.
do that. So that's 20 questions. Anybody have a guess?
Is it
Or
a
everybody
bit
can have
like
a guess
the
if they want.
flyy, furry dragon thing from Neverending Story?
No, it is not. Allison, what do you think?
I can't think. Maybe King Kong. I don't know. Like I can't
that's
think of
another
any
good.
animal.
That is another good, but it is not King Kong.
Yeah.
That's kind of where my head was at too.
Yeah.
Kate,
Jaws.
it is
Right.
not Jaws, although that was very close. Renee?
Yeah, I'm kind of with Bob here. Bruce the shark from Finding Nemo.
Oh, yeah, it's not Bruce the Shark. No. Sarah?
Very close. With John.
Oh, the comments are good. They might
Yeah,
be
the
right.
comments are helping. You cannot be.
Where are the comments?
Yeah, check the comments. You're our last shot.
Oh,
Help
that's a
us,
good one.
Obi-Wan, you're our last hope.
I'll go with Joe's suggestion, Moby Dick.
It is Moby Dick, yes.
Nice Joe.
Thanks, Joe.
Saved by the bell. Thank you.
But no, Wayne, to your point, there were a lot of guesses. I was I didn't even think about that one when I was thinking about this, right? There's a lot of characters out there that could fit this bill to some degree. But it is Moby Dick, yes.
There you go.
Awesome.
Nice shot, Joe.
Thank you. Thank everyone for playing. Thanks the comments for helping Joe. Okay, so that was the epilogue, everyone. Thank you so much for playing. So let's do this. Before we go, let's talk a little bit about what's coming up this week on Go Indie Now. Let me grab this real quick so I can do these in order. On Monday night, we have 21 grams. So let's grab that one. Here we go. On Monday night, we have 21 grams, and that is at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Joe Compton talks to creative coach Kendra Dodd. Tuesday, what do we have on Tuesday? I should know this one. Season 1 of episode 4 of Zero Means You're Dead, I interview Craig Campbell of Nerdburger Games. Craig is another Atlanta local and a really cool guy. It's a great interview. You're going to really enjoy it if you like role-playing games and indie stuff. He's very knowledgeable as well. Thursday night, we have our Halloween tradition, Words That Kill. Grab our words. Here we go. Words That Kill. Season 3, Episode 6, with Mark Abbott. What's the topic of that one? Jump Scares. Yep, Jump Scares with Mark Abbott. And Friday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. We have late night news with Joe Compton and Vanessa Junta, featuring Ciel Cannon with her monthly marketing tips. Awesome. That'll probably be a really good one this week. Okay, so Allison, let's start with you. Let folks know who you are, what you write, and where they can find you on the interwebs.
So I'm Alison McBain, and I write pretty much all genres, including the despised poetry. And I can be found at two websites, AlisonMcBain.com, which is my main author website, and also my project for this year, which is writing a book a week for the whole year, 52 books in total, at authorversusai.com.
Awesome. And to be clear, I have a very good friend who is a poet, so you're okay.
Okay, awesome.
Wayne?
Wayne Trammell. I write books. So, look me up on Amazon. You'll see all the wonder that is me. WayneTrammell.com. I do interviews with authors as well as some writing update stuff. And I am on Twitter /X/Elon's Vanity Project and under W. Trammell. And I love interacting with readers on Twitter. So there you go.
Excellent. And if you go to the right coffee shop, Wayne may put you in one of his books. Kate?
If you can summon the nerve to talk to me, because apparently nobody does.
Yeah, my name is Kate Rissy. I wrote a climate fiction novel called Inland. It's about a catastrophic flood on the eastern seaboard. And a mother is, separated from her 16-year-old son, is trying to get back to him. And the story does take place where those two Category 4 and Category 5 hurricanes just came through the Big Bend, Florida Panhandle. You can find me at www.katerissy.com or at 12willowspress.com. And I also have an audiobook.
Awesome. So when the hurricanes came through, was that like a traumatic, or was it like, oh my gosh, it's something you've technically written about? How did you react to that?
Well, my brother was on the island. So the book starts on a little panhandle island called Dog Island that's south of Tallahassee. My brother was there when the hurricane came through. So in live time, he was evacuating with his wife, and he was the last one to leave the island. So yeah, it was pretty terrible. And he had just read my book too. And he was like, I can't believe you just wrote about this and now it's happening. And there were like tornadoes, and it was pretty bad.
Gotcha. Well, glad everybody's safe.
And that was Helene. And then, a week or two later, Milton came through. So, yeah, it was pretty surreal.
Renee?
My name is Renee Jean, although mostly I write under Mackenzie Knight. And I am on Instagram as author Mackenzie Knight. I also have a Facebook page under each name. Or you can just find me at writingforces.com. It's got my thriller, suspense, my humor book about being a casino dealer, and a drama series that I do use to raise money for my.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And Sarah.
Yeah, hi. I am Sarah, writing under SG Tosh. You can find me at sgtosh.com. I'm on Instagram and Facebook and kind of TikTok, but I'm working on that. I write, as I said, contemporary fantasy mystery with a little bit of romance. My new hardcover is now available as of last week. It looks like this. It's very, very pretty. And yeah, you can find me on Amazon, where my books are available.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I want to thank our panelists. You guys have been great. Thank you so much for putting up with our nonsense here in this week in Indies. And just so everybody, hold on. There we go. Just remember that it's always time to go indie now. Have a great week, folks. See you next week.
Thank you so much.